Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day? Were you in the yard with your wife and children, or working on some stage in LA? Did you stand there in shock at the sight of that black smoke rising against that blue sky? Did you shout out in anger and fear for your neighbor, or did you just sit down and cry? Did you weep for the children who lost their dear loved ones, pray for the ones who don't know? Did you rejoice for the people who walked from the rubble and sob for the ones left below? Did you burst out with pride for the red, white, and blue, and the heroes who died just doing what they do? Did you look up to heaven for some kind of answer, and look at yourself and what really matters?
This just in, you are looking at obviously a very disturbing live shot there. That is the World Trade Center, and we have unconfirmed reports this morning that a plane has crashed into one of the towers of the World Trade Center.
Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day? Teaching a class full of innocent children, or driving down some cold interstate? Did you feel guilty cause you're a survivor? In a crowded room, did you feel alone? Did you call up your mother and tell her you loved her? Did you dust off that Bible at home? Did you open your eyes and hope it never happened? Close your eyes and not go to sleep? Did you notice the sunset the first time in ages, and speak to some stranger on the street? Did you lay down at night, think of tomorrow, go out and buy you a gun? Did you turn off that violent old movie you're watching and turn on I Love Lucy reruns? Did you go to a church and hold hands with some strangers, stand in line and give your own blood? Did you just stay home and cling tight to your family? Thank God you had somebody to love. Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day?
Aircraft is erratic again. Problems very erratic.
We can see these pictures. It's obviously something devastating has happened. And again, unconfirmed report that a plane has crashed into one of the towers there. We are efforting more information on this subject as it becomes available to you.
On the Tuesday morning of September 11th, 2001, 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked 4 airliners and crashed them into the World Trade Centers, the Pentagon, and near Shanksville, Pennsylvania.
Jules, this is Ryan. Lives on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, I'm looking good. I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So have a good time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later. Bye, babe.
What's that jet doing?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Don't touch it.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Something else just hit. A very large plane just flew directly over my building, and there's been another collision. Can you see it? I can see it on this shot.
Another plane has just hit another building. Flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
This one into the East Tower.
Yes, right in the middle of the building.
An American Airlines 767 with 92 people on board hijacked on its flight from Boston to Los Angeles, becoming the implement of mass murder.
That was definitely looked like it was on purpose.
You saw a plane?
Yes, I just saw a plane go into the building.
It was now clear that this was no accident. The first tower had also been hit by a hijacked passenger jet, a United flight that had also taken off from Boston, bound for LA.
These hijackings had been planned for some time, and the transcontinental flights were chosen because they'd have the most fuel on board to do the most damage.
And who's trying to call me here? American 11, are you trying to call?
Nobody move. Everything will be okay. If you try to make any move, you'll danger yourself and the airplane. Just stay quiet.
Make no mistake, the United States will hunt down and punish those responsible for these cowardly acts.
2,977 people from over 90 countries were killed that day during these attacks. America had never suffered such an attack on our homeland. The death, destruction, and the carnage in the aftermath was met with fierce patriotism, compassion for the victims, and many instances of heroism and valor. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 from Boston to LA was crashed into the North Tower. At 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175, also from Boston to LA, slammed into the South Tower. At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 from Washington, D.C. to LA smashes into the western facade of the Pentagon. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed, just 56 minutes after impact. At 10:07 a.m., United Air Flight 93 from Newark to San Francisco was now hijacked and headed for the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. The passengers and crew members aboard had already learned about the attacks in New York and Washington. They mounted an attempt to retake that plane, but in response, the hijackers deliberately crashed the plane into a field in Somerset County, Pennsylvania, killing everyone on board. Most of us remember Todd Beamer's heroic words. "Are you ready? Okay, let's roll."
I only have a minute. I'm on United 93, and it's been hijacked by terrorists who say they have a bomb. Apparently they have flown a couple of planes into the World Trade Center already, and it looks like they're going to take this one down as well. Mostly, I just wanted to say I love you, and I'm going to miss you. I love you, and I hope I can talk to you soon. Bye.
I'm on a plane that's been hijacked. I'm on the plane. I'm calling from the plane. I want to tell you I love you. Please tell my children that I love them very much. And I'm so sorry, babe. I hope to be able to see your face again, baby. I love you. Bye.
United 93, have you got information on that yet?
Yeah, he's down.
He's down?
Yes.
When did he land?
He did not land.
Oh, he's down?
Yes, somewhere up northeast of Camp David.
Sean, it's me. I just wanted to let you know I love you, and I'm stuck in this building in New York. There's lots of smoke, and I just wanted you to know that I love you always.
At number 2 World Trade Center, right. Ladies and students in the walking, we're not ready to die when it's getting bad.
I'm on the 83rd floor. I'm gonna die, aren't I? No. I'm gonna die.
Liv, say your prayers. We're going to think positive because you got to help each other get off the floor.
I'm
now.
dying.
Then, At 10:28 a.m., 102 minutes after being struck by Flight 11, the North Tower collapses. We hope nobody ever again has to make the decision to jump out of a burning building because they had no other choice. Such utter human desperation. There were true heroes that day and the days afterward, and it's this spirit and compassion that must survive for America to survive. Through the pain and the grief, America still stood united. None of us will ever forget the images and the footage of those towers coming down, the black smoke that billowed through the air, and the sickening feeling we all had in our hearts that day. Many of us recall those days with both anger and awe.
President George W. Bush was at the school for a reading event when his chief of staff, Andrew Card, whispered in his ear about the attacks.
We recalled the images of the towers collapsing, the Pentagon fire, and the field of rubble near Shanksville. And as terrible as September 11th was, it did bring September 12th. Every business, every car, and every home were waving the American flag. Americans were angry, scared, vengeful, and compassionate all at the same time. We prayed, we hoped, we grieved, and we cried for the victims and the first responders at Ground Zero, the Pentagon, and in Pennsylvania. But we were all united as Americans. Nothing else mattered.
I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
And here we are today. And first responders are still dying of cancers and other illnesses from the toxins related to the recovery efforts. While the New York City Medical Examiner keeps an office at the National 9/11 Memorial and Museum, still 40% of the victims from the World Trade Center site cannot be forensically identified. Today, it's up to each of us to educate and involve the next generation to ensure they never forget. In Kennewick, Washington, there stands a 35-foot piece of twisted steel from the World Trade Center site. This nearly 6,000-pound artifact was dedicated on September 11, 2011, 10 years after the destruction of the towers collapsing. In addition, In Prosser, Washington, there stands a 3-foot artifact dedicated on that same day. These artifacts represent the memory of the 2,977 victims of September 11, 2001. At Memorial Hall in New York City, a large concrete wall with individually colored squares for each victim depicts the words, "No day shall erase you from the memory of time." It means to never forget. Take your moment to never forget. Take your moment to reunite as Americans. We said we'd never forget. We never will.